Unlike most takes on the Man of Steel, the Absolute version of Superman grew up witnessing Krypton's collapse firsthand. He didn't come to Earth until he was a teenager, and his life experience radicalized him. Because he didn't grow up here in the heartlands of America, he is an outsider, a globalist, and a working-class hero, fighting oppression and protecting the environment. But that crusade brought him into direct conflict with the corrupt Lazarus Corporation and its leader, Ra's al Ghul. Ra's wanted to corrupt Superman and turn him into his adopted son, Kal-El Ghul. His ambition was for Kal and his fanatical daughter Talia to help prepare the world for Darkseid's coming. After imprisoning Ra's, Superman visited him regularly to read to him and help him see the error of his ways. While Ra's reformed, he was murdered by King Shazam, who viewed himself as the planet's savior. For as powerful as King Shazam was, he showed little concern for collateral damage, forcing Superman to intervene to save countless lives. Shazam had the power to change the world, and he probably would have done it, but it would have cost countless lives. In their battle, Superman showed that he was the true savior of humanity, driving Shazam to the moon and incapacitating him there. In the aftermath of their battle, the status quo has shifted. Jimmy Olsen quit the Daily Planet to rebuild Talia al Ghul's Omega Men into a legitimate force for good, and Lois is attempting to rehabilitate the imprisoned Talia. This is quite the development, given that Talia had murdered Lois's father, and it really shows the influence Superman has had on the people around him. So that leaves Superman trying to clean up the loose ends, and easily the biggest is the former servant of Ra's al Ghul, Brainiac. This version of Brainiac is a sniveling sadist who was responsible for some of Lazarus Corp's worst inventions. He took one of the psychologically damaged Peacemaker soldiers, Chris Smith, and turned him into a weapon to be used against Superman. But when Smith failed, despite his cybernetic enhancements, Ra's al Ghul executed him with a kryptonite bullet to the face. But it turns out that Smith wasn't quite as dead as we all thought. Since Lazarus fell and their internal documents were leaked to the public, Jimmy Olsen and the Omega Men have been going through the documents looking for important information. They are the ones that help Superman trace Brainiac to an Argentinian facility that has been unmanned since the 1940s but still keeps receiving regular deliveries. However, when Superman arrives, he doesn't find Brainiac, it's Metallo who greets him. And by greet I mean punches him in the face and sends him crashing to the streets below. This shouldn't be too surprising to readers, given that Metallo is traditionally a man whose consciousness was transferred to a robot body powered by Kryptonite. But, as this is the Absolute Universe, there is a slight twist here. This version of Metallo was once Chris Smith, the Peacemaker. He's alive, technically, but he is not well. No, Brainiac has made further enhancements to him and has brainwashed him into forgetting who he was. Unsurprising, given the bullet to the brain. And Brainiac has rechristened him Metallo, named after a pet he had once had. And Smith refuses to acknowledge who he once was. The mere suggestion that he was once a human makes him irrationally angry. And remember, anger is a secondary emotion. It's something we feel as a result of another strong feeling that makes us uncomfortable. And I'll get to the underlying feeling in just a moment. First, we've got to discuss Metallo's origin. So we're told that after he was shot in the head, he technically died, but Brainiac brought him back, and a curious thing had happened. Brainiac's artificial kryptonite was unstable, as he puts it, and it effectively turned Smith's blood to kryptonite, and that's what's keeping him alive. Never one to look a gift horse in the mouth, Brainiac set about further enhancing Smith and erasing his personality. We got a hint at this earlier in the series, where Smith had a breakdown after being dominated by Superman, and he lashed out, executing innocent bystanders. As a boy, Chris's father had driven him to a synagogue, got out of the car, and committed a mass shooting, leaving him behind. He did not see his father again, and this is just one of the sources of his mental health issues. We're also shown revealing conversations shortly after he joined the Peacemakers, where one of the more experienced soldiers makes it clear that it's difficult to tell the difference between the innocent and the bad guys, and they have a very cavalier attitude towards civilian casualties. When he followed the official process for raising mental health issues and tried to get help, the Brainiac AI chatbot decided that he just needed a new helmet and should get back to work. Now, clearly, Brainiac was grooming Smith, engineering his complete breakdown so that he could justify shuffling him away and experimenting on him. And while he went through several iterations, Metallo is the end result. While much of the issue involves fistfights, including a gnarly scene where Metallo spits his own radioactive blood in Superman's face, Superman is actually very restrained. When he sees Metallo, he's horrified, and not because of the threat to himself, but because of what was done to Smith. Superman tries to get through to him, reminding him of who he is, but Metallo will not listen. The mere suggestion that he is anything other than a raw killing machine enrages him and makes him fight harder. But Superman doesn't let that stop him from trying to get through to him. He's so insistent that he actually causes Metallo to enter into cardiac arrest and he collapses. Fearing that he will die, Superman performs CPR on him, despite the fact that his blood is toxic to him. And Metallo returns the favour by attacking Superman as soon as he wakes up. Now, Superman is able to stave off the worst effects of the kryptonite because he's in direct sunlight. Remember, he is solar powered. So Metallo makes a tactical decision, knocking Superman into the sewers, into the shade. And here, their fight continues. In a very touching moment, Superman tells Metallo how he was one of the few people at Chris's funeral. He had carried his coffin and told Smith's mother that he had died a hero. He lied to her to spare her the pain of knowing that her son was a snivelling little bigot fueled by insecurity. But Superman always sees the best in people, even those that try to kill him. He also has to deliver some bad news. Smith's mother had passed away just a few weeks ago, and when he went to visit her, she had mistaken him for Smith. She had told him how much she loved him, and he didn't correct her. Instead, he used his powers to mimic Smith's voice to ensure that the very last thing she heard before she passed away was her son saying that he loved her. And this is what it took to get through to Metallo: love and compassion. He had suffered tremendously under the Lazarus Corps, from the awful things they made him do as a peacemaker to Brainiac's torture and his murder at Ra's al Ghul's hand. He was completely broken and taught to hate. But Superman responds to that hate with compassion and restraint. When Brainiac reared his ugly head to see what had happened to Metallo, he shrugs, saying, it's not a big deal, there are plenty more people for him to try with later on. And when faced with the choice between pursuing Brainiac or comforting Chris Smith, Superman chooses the latter. He can always find Brainiac later on, no matter where he's hiding. Right now, his former enemy, Chris Smith, needs help. One of the things I liked about this version of Superman is how he's not some shining beacon of virtue. Internally, he thinks about doing the things that many of us would do with his powers. And if I had his powers, I can't say with absolute certainty that I would have shown much empathy for Chris Smith, and I probably would have gone after Brainiac and crushed him there and then. But Superman ignores these thoughts. They take place, he considers them, and he chooses to be better. It would be so easy for him to burn Brainiac with his heat vision or snap Metallo's neck and put him out of his misery. But the fact that he's lost everyone and everything he ever knew back on Krypton has supercharged his empathy. That's one of his superpowers, and it's probably more important than his super strength or ability to fly, because how exactly can he save this broken, imbalanced world if he doesn't protect the people along the way? Because people are what make up the world. Buildings, borders, and bureaucracy are just made-up things. It's the people that matter, and if Superman had left Chris Smith alone in the sewer just to capture Brainiac, nothing would change. Superman is saving the world not just by averting disasters, but by saving misguided souls like Chris Smith. Absolute Superman 22 is available now from all good comic shops. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, do stick around because I'll be back very soon with videos about Absolute Green Lantern 17 and Batman number 12. Special thanks as ever to my channel members, the Back Issue Brigade, who helped to make this video possible. And if you'd like to see your name on screen and get access to some exclusive videos, like one about Gotham Central that dropped last week, then join the channel now. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.